Welcome to the Pines Charter 5th Annual NEHS sponsored Recite Night, coming to you safely and virtually in 2020. Students reciting here are competing in round 1 of our school's Poetry Out Loud competition, which is being held virtually this year. Each competing student has recited a selected poem and will be judged according to a set rubric on their physical presence, voice and articulation, dramatic appropriateness, and evidence of understanding. The 10 highest scoring students, who will be announced after scores have been tallied, will go on to compete at the NEHS Poetry Slam at the end of January by submitting a second recitation. Judges will then select one POL winner who will move on to compete at the state level. The state winner will advance to the national virtual competition. In the end, the national finalist will be awarded $20,000. "100 Love Sonnets, 17, written by Pablo Neruda, translated by Mark Eisner. I don't love you as if you were a rose of salt, topaz, or arrows of carnations that propagate fire. I love you as one loves certain obscure things, secretly, between the shadow and the soul. I love you as the plant that doesn't bloom but carries the light of those flowers hidden within itself. And thanks to your love, that tight aroma that arose from the earth lives dimly in my body. I love you without knowing how or when or from where. I love you directly without problems or pride. I love you like this because I don't know any other way to love, except in this form, in which I am not, nor are you, so close that your hand upon my chest is mine, so close that your eyes close with my dreams."
I Heard a Fly Buzz When I Died by Emily Dickinson. I heard a fly buzz when I died, and the stillness in the room was like the stillness in the air between heaves of storm. The eyes around had wrung dry, and breasts were gathering firm for that last onset when the king be witnessed in the room. I willed my keepsake, signed away whatever portion of me be assignable. And then it was there, interposed a fly, with blue, uncertain, and stumbling buzz between the light and me. And then the windows failed, and then I could not see to see.
After the War by Rachel Galvin for Joseph Loam. When he got to the farmhouse, he rifled through the cabinets, the drawers, and the cupboards, and his buddies did too. The place was abandoned, or so he thought, and his buddies did too. He tried to talk to people in town, and his buddies did too, but he was the only one whose Yiddish made it across into German. They took his meaning. He, in the farmhouse, took a camera and a gun. But his buddies, who knows? About the gun, it's also hard to say. But after the war, he took up photography. Why not? And shot beautiful women for years. Got pretty good at it. And how? Won prizes and engraved plates. Put them in a drawer. Forgot the war, forgot his buddies, forgot the woman, forgot the drawer.
Hope is a Thing with Feathers by Emily Dickinson. Hope is a thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. And sweetest in the gale is heard, and sore must be the storm that could have bashed the little bird that kept so many warm. I've heard it in the chillest land and on the strangest sea, yet never in extremity it asked a crumb of me.
World by Langston Hughes. I look at the world from awakening eyes in a black face. And this is what I see. This fenced off narrow space assigned to me. I look then at the silly walls through dark eyes and a dark face. And this is what I know. That all these walls oppression builds will have to go. I look at my own body with eyes no longer blind, and I see that my own hands can make the world that's in my mind. Then let us hurry, comrades, the road to find.
Dyed Carnations by Robin Schiff. There's blue, and then there's blue. A number, not a hue. This blue is not the undertone of anyone, but there it is, primary. I held the bouquet in shock and cut the stems at a deadly angle. I opened the toxic sachet of flower food with my canine and rinsed my mouth. I used to wash my hands and daydream. I dreamed of myself and washed my hands of everything. Easy math. Now, I can't get the procedure at the florist off my mind. The white flowers arrived. They overnighted in a chemical bath, and now they have a fake laugh that catches like a match that starts the kind of kitchen fire that is fanned by water. They won't even look at me. Happy anniversary.
A Poison Tree by William Blake. I was angry with my friend. I told my wrath did end. I was angry with my foe. I told it not, my wrath did grow. And I watered it in fears, night and morning with my tears, and I sunned it with smiles and with soft, deceitful wiles. And it grew both day and night, till it bore an apple bright, and my foe beheld it shine, and he knew that it was mine. And into my garden stole, when the night had veiled the pole. In the morning glad I see my foe outstretched beneath the tree.
The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both and be one traveler. Long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other, as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear, though as for that, the passing there had worn them really about the same. And both that morning equally lay, in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day. Yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence. 2 roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference.
Tomorrow, by Dennis O. Driscoll. Tomorrow I will start to be happy. The morning will light up like a celebratory cigar. Sunbeams sprawling on the lawn will set dew sparkling like a cut glass tumbler of champagne. Today will end the worst phase of my life. I will put my shapeless days behind me, fencing off the past as a golden rind of sand parts, slipshod sea from solid land. It is tomorrow I want to look back on, not today. Tomorrow I start to be happy. Today is almost yesterday. Australia, how wise you are to get the day over and done with first, out of the way. You have eaten the fruit of knowledge while we are dithering about which main course to choose. How liberated you must feel, how free from doubt. The rise and fall of stocks, today's closing prices are revealed to you before our bidding has begun. Australia, you can gather in your accident statistics like a harvest, while our roads still have hours to kill. When we are in the dark, you have sagely seen the light. Cagily, presumptuously, I dare to write 2018, a date without character or tone, 2018. A year without interest rates or mean daily temperature. Its hit songs have yet to be written, New Year's babies yet to be induced, its truces to be signed. Much too far off for prophecy, though one hazards a tentative guess. A so-so year most likely, vague in retrospect, fizzling out the usual end of season sales, everything slashed. Your last chance to salvage something of its style.
I carry your heart with me, I carry it in, by E. Cummings. I carry your heart with me, I carry it in my heart. I am never without it. Anywhere I go, you go, my dear. And whatever is done by only me is your doing, my darling. I fear no fate, for you are my fate, my sweet. I want no world, for beautiful you are my world, my true. And it's you are what every moon has always meant, what every sun will always sing, is you. Here's the deepest secret nobody knows. Here's the root of the root, the bud of the bud, and the sky of the sky of a tree called life, which grows higher than soul can hope or mind can hide. And this is the wonder that's keeping the stars apart. I carry your heart. I carry it in my heart.
Hello, my name is Paul McFarlane, and I'll be reading Born Like the Pines by James Ephraim McGirt. Born like the pines to sing, the harp and song in my breast. Though far and near, there's none to hear, I'll sing if the wind requests. To tell the truth in my lay is not for the harp or me. I'm only to know from the wind that blows what the theme of my song shall be. Born like the pines to sing, the harp and song in my breast. As the wind sweeps by, I'll laugh or I cry. In the winds, I cannot rest. Thank you.
Backdrop addresses Cowboy by Margaret Atwood. Star-spangled cowboy, sauntering out of the almost silly west. On your face, a porcelain grin, tugging a papier-mâché cactus on wheels behind you with a string. You are innocent as a bathtub, full of bullets. Your righteous eyes, your laconic trigger fingers, people the streets with villains. As you move, the air in front of you blossoms with targets. And you leave behind a heroic trail of desolation. Beer bottles slaughtered by the side of the road, bird skulls bleaching in the sunset. I ought to be watching from behind a cliff or a cardboard storefront when the shooting starts, hands clasped in admiration. But I am elsewhere. Then what about me? What about the eye that confronts you on that border you are always trying to cross? I am the horizon you ride towards, the thing you can never lasso. I am also what surrounds you, my brain scattered with your tin cans, bones, empty shells, the litter of your invasions. I am the space you desecrate as you pass through. Thank you.
If We Must Die by Claude McKay. If we must die, let it not be like hogs, hunted and penned in an inglorious spot, while round us bark the mad and hungry dogs, making their mock at our accursed lot. If we must die, oh let us nobly die, so that our precious blood may not be shed in vain. Then even the monsters we defy shall be constrained to honor us though dead. O kinsmen, we must meet the common foe. Though far outnumbered, let us show us brave. And for their 1,000 blows, deal one death blow. What though before us lies the open grave? Like men, we'll face the murderous, cowardly pack, pressed to the wall, dying, but fighting back.
The Arrow in the Song by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. I shot an arrow into the air, fell to earth I knew not where, for so swiftly it flew, the sight could not follow in its flight. I breathed a song into the air, it fell to earth I knew not where, for who has seen so keen and strong that it can follow the flight of song? Long, long afterward, in an oak I found the arrow, still unbroke, and the song, from beginning to end, I found again in the heart of a friend.
Hello, my name is Chloe Barnett, and my poem is titled After the Winter by Claude McKay. Someday, when trees have shed their leaves, and against the morning's white, the shivering birds beneath the eaves have sheltered for the night, we'll turn our faces southward, love, towards the summer isle, where bamboos spire the shafted grove, and wide-mouthed orchids smile. And we will seek the quiet hill where towers the cotton tree, and leaps the laughing crystal rill, and works the droning bee. And we will build our cottage there, besides an open glade, with black-ribbed bluebells blowing near, and ferns that never fade.
My name is Brady Garrison, and I'm reciting Across the Bay by Donald Davy. The queer thing about those waters, there are no birds there, or hardly any. I did not miss them. I do not remember missing them, or thinking it uncanny. The beach so called was a blinding splinter of limestone, a quarry, outraged by hulls. We took pleasure in that. The emptiness, the hardness of the light, the silence, and the water's stillness. But this was the setting for one of our murderous scenes. This hurt and goes on hurting. Venomous, soft jelly, the undersides. We could stand the world if it were hard all over.
When You Are Old by William Butler Yeats. When you are old and gray and full of sleep and nodding by the fire, take down this book and slowly read. And dream of the soft look your eyes had once and of their shadows deep. How many loved your moments of glad grace and loved your beauty with love false or true. But one man loved the pilgrim soul in you and loved the sorrows of your changing face. And bending down beside the glowing bars, murmur a little sadly how love fled and paced upon the mountains overhead and hid his face amid a crowd of stars.
Diameter by Michelle Y. Burke. You love your friend, so you fly across the world to see her. Your friend is grieving. When you look at her, you see something's missing. You look again. She seems all there. Reading glasses, sarcasm, leather pumps. What did you expect? Ruins? Demeter without arms in the British Museum? Your friend says she believes there is more pain than there is beauty in the world. When Phrosophone was taken, Demeter damned the world for half the year. The other half remained warm and bountiful. The Greeks loved symmetry. On the plain, the man next to you read a geometry book. The lesson on finding the circumference of a circle. On circumference, you can calculate the way around if you know the way across. You can try across with your friend. You can try around. I don't believe in an afterlife, she says. But after Kay died, I thought I might go after her in case I'm wrong, in case she's somewhere waiting.
Hope is the Thing with Feathers by Emily Dickinson. Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. And sweetest in the gale is heard, and sore must be the storm that could abash the little bird that kept so many warm. I've heard it in the chillest land and on the strangest sea, yet never in extremity it asked a crumb of me. Thank you.
The World is Too Much with Us by William Wordsworth. The world is too much with us, late and soon. Getting and spending, we lay waste our powers. Little we see in nature that is ours. We have given our hearts away, a sordid boon. The sea that bears her bosom to the moon, the winds that will be howling at all hours, and are upgathered now, like sleeping flowers. For this, for everything, we are out of tune. It moves us not. I'd rather be a pagan, suckled in a creed outworn, so might I, standing on this pleasant lea, have glimpses that would make me less forlorn, have sight of Prometheus rising from the sea, or hear old Triton blow his wreathed horn.
Domestic Situation by Ernest Hilbert. Maybe you've heard about this, maybe not. A man came home and chucked his girlfriend's cat in the wood chipper. This really happened. Dinner wasn't ready on time. A lot of other little things went wrong. He spat on her father, who came out when he learned about it. He also broke her pinky, stole her checks, and got her sister pregnant. But she stood by him, stood strong through it all, because she loved him. She loved him, you see. She actually said that. And then she went and married him. She felt some unique call. Don't try to understand what another person means by love. Don't even bother.
Fairy Tale with Laryngitis and Resignation Letter by Jean Dubrow. You remember the mermaid makes a deal. Her tongue evicted from her throat and moving is a knife cut with every step. This is what escape from water means. Dear colleagues, you write, for weeks I've been typing this letter in the bright kingdom of my imagination. Your body is a ship of pain. Pleasure is when you climb the rocks and watch the moonlight touching everywhere you want to go. A silver world called far away. Dear colleagues, you write, this place is a few sentences contained by the cursor's rippling barrier. What happened here is only beaks and brackets, the serif's liquid stroke. The old story has witches, a prince in love with the surging silence of women, a knife that turns the water red. You write, dear colleagues, now these years are filed in the infinite oceans of bureaucracy. Everything bleaches or fades, in other words, goodbye. Sometimes it's possible to walk, although you've been told inside the oyster shell of your heart there is no soul. Creatures like you must end as a spray of salt, green droplets floating breathless in the air.
A Poison Tree by William Blake. I was angry with my friend. I told my wrath, and my wrath did end. I was angry with my foe. I told it not, and my wrath did grow. I watered it in fears, night and morning with my tears. And I sunned it with smiles and with soft, deceitful wiles. And it grew both day and night, till it bore an apple bright. And my foe beheld it shine, and he knew that it was mine. And into my garden stole, when the night had veiled the pole. In the morning, glad I see my foe outstretched beneath the tree.
Hello. The poem I'm reading today is Perhaps the World Ends Here. It was written by Joy Harjo.
The world begins at a kitchen table. No matter what, we must eat to live. The gifts of earth are brought and prepared, set on the table. So it has been since creation, and it will go on. We chase chickens or dogs away from it. Babies' teeth at the corners. They scrape their knees under it. It is here that children are given instructions on what it means to be human. We make men at it. We make women. At this table we gossip, recall enemies, and the ghosts of lovers. Our dreams drink coffee with us as they put their arms around our children. They laugh with us at our poor falling down selves as we put ourselves back together once again at the table. This table has been a house in the rain, an umbrella in the sun. Wars have begun and ended at this table. It is a place to hide in the shadow of terror, a place to celebrate the terrible victory. We have given birth on this table and have prepared our parents for burial here. At this table we sing with joy, with sorrow. We pray of suffering and remorse. We give thanks. Perhaps the world will end at the kitchen table, while we are laughing and crying, eating of the last sweet bite.
Hi, my name is Trini Rojas, and I'm going to be reciting Genetics by Jacqueline Woodson. My mother has a gap between her two front teeth. So does Daddy Gunner. Each child in this family has the same connecting us. Our baby brother Roman was born pale as dust. His soft brown curls and eyelashes stop people on the streets. Whose angel child is this? They want to know. When I say my brother, the people wear out. Thick as a cape. Until we smile, the cape falls.
American Smooth by Rita Dove. We were dancing. It must have been a foxtrot or a waltz, something romantic but requiring restraint. Rise and fall, precise execution as we moved into the next song without stopping, two chests heaving above a 7-league stride. Such perfect agony one learns to smile through. Ecstatic mimicry being the sine qua non of American Smooth. And because I was distracted by the efforts of keeping my frame, the leftward lean, head turned just enough to gaze out past your ear, and always smiling, smiling. I didn't notice how still you'd become until we had done it. For 2 measures? 4? Achieved flight, that swift and serene magnificence, before the earth remembered who we were and brought us down.
On the Death of Anne Bronte by Charlotte Bronte. There's little joy in life for me, and little terror in the grave. I've lived the parting hour to see of one I would have died to save. Calmly to watch the failing breath, wishing each sigh might be the last, longing to see the shade of death over those beloved features cast. The cloud, the stillness that must part the darling of my life from me, and then to thank God from my heart, to thank Him well and fervently. Although I knew that we had lost the hope and glory of our life, and now, benighted, tempest-tossed, must bear alone this weary strife.
Slant by Suji Kwok Kim. If the angle of an eye is all, the slant of hope, the slant of dreaming, according to each life, what is the light of this city? Light of Lady Liberty, possessor of the most famous armpit in the world, light of the lovers on Chinese soap operas, throwing BBQ ducks at each other with that live it up while you're young, woo me kind of love. Light of the old men sitting on crates outside giga shops, selling dried seahorses and plastic temples of heaven. Light of the yin and yang junk palace. Light of the golden phoenix hair salon. Light of wigoramas. Light of the suntanners in Central Park turning over like rotisserie chicken sizzling on a spit. Light of the pluck you and Gone with the Wings fried chicken shops. The parking meter leaners, the glamazons, the oglers wearing fern-wilting quantities of cologne, strutting, trash-talking, glorious. The immigrants, the refugees, the peddlers, stockbrokers and janitors, stenographers and cooks, all of us making and unmaking ourselves, hurrying forwards toward who we'll become, one way only, one life only, free in time, but not from it. Here in the city, the living make together, and make and unmake over and over, quick, quick, ask heaven of it, of every mortal relation. Feeling that is fleeing, for what would the heart be without a heaven to set it on? I can't help thinking no word will ever be as full of life as this world. I can't help thinking of thanks.
The Coming Woman by Mary Weston Fordham. Just look, 'tis 6:15, love, and not even the fires are caught. Well, you know, I must be at the office, but as usual, the breakfast'll be late. Now hurry, and wake up the children, and dress them as fast as you can. Poor dearies, I know they'll be tardy. Dear me, what a slow, poky man. Have the tenderloin broiled, nice and juicy. Have the toast browned and buttered all right. And be sure you settle the coffee. Be sure that the silver is bright. When ready, just run up and call me. At 8 to the office I go. Lest poverty grim should o'ertake us. 'Tis bread and butter, you know. The bottom from stocks may fall out. My bonds may get below par. Then surely I seldom could spare you a nickel to buy a cigar. All ready? Now, while I'm eating, just bring up my wheel to the door. Then wash up the dishes and mine now. Have dinner promptly at 4. For tonight is our women's conference, and I am to speak first, you know. The men veto us in private, but in public they shout, "That's so." So bye-bye in case of a rap, love. Before opening the door, you must look. Oh, how could a civilized woman exist without a man cook?
Awaking in New York by Maya Angelou. Curtains forcing their will against the wind. Children sleep, exchanging their dreams with seraphim. The city drags itself awake on subway straps. And I, an alarm, awake as a rumor of war. Lie stretching onto dawn, unasked and unheeded.
A Song, Lying is an Occupation by Letitia Pilkington. Lying is an occupation used by all who mean to rise. Politicians owe their stations, but to well-concerted lies. These to lovers give assistance to ensnare the fair one's heart, and the virgin's best resistance yields to this commanding art. Study this superior science. Would you rise in church or state? Bid to truth a bold defiance. 'Tis the practice of the great.
Fishing by A.E. Stallings. The two of them stood in the middle water, the current slipping away, quick and cold, the sun slow at his zenith, sweating gold once, in some sullen summer of father and daughter. Maybe he regretted he had brought her. She'd rather have been elsewhere. Her look told. Perhaps a year ago, but now too old. She still remembered the lessons he had taught her, to cast towards shadows where the sunlight fails and fishes shelter in the undergrowth, and where the unseen strikes how all else pales beside the bright dark struggle. The rainbow rock, life and death weighed in the shining scales, the invisible line pulled taut that links them both.
A queer thing about those waters, there were no birds there, or hardly any. I do not miss them. I do not remember missing them, or thinking it uncanny. The beach so called was a blinding splinter of limestone, a quarry outraged by holes. We took pleasure in that, the emptiness, the hardness of the light, the silence, and the water stillness. But this was a setting for one of our murderous scenes. This hurt and goes on hurting. The venomous soft jelly, the undersides. We could stand the world if it were hard all over.
Hi, my name is Camila Escobar, and I will be reciting the poem by Richard Lovelace named To La Costa, Going to the Wars. Tell me not, sweet, I am unkind, that from the nursery of thy chaste breast and quiet mind, to wars and arms I fly. True, a new mistress now I chase, the first foe in the field, and with a stronger faith embrace, a sword, a horse, a shield. Yet this inconsistency is such as you too shall adore. I could not love thee, dear, so much. Loved I not honor more. Thank you.
I Heard a Fly Buzz When I Died by Emily Dickinson. I heard a fly buzz when I died. The stillness in the room was like the stillness in the air between the heaves of storm. The eyes around had wrung them dry, and breaths were gathering firm for that last onset when the king be witnessed in the room. I willed my keepsakes, signed away what portion of me be assignable, and then it was there interposed a fly with blue, certain unstumbling buzz between the light and me. And then the windows failed, and then eye could not see to see.
Hope is the thing with feathers by Emily Dickinson. Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. And sweetest in the gale is heard, and sore must be the storm that could abash the little bird that kept so many warm. I've heard it in the chillest land and on the strangest sea, yet never in extremity it asks a crumb of me.
I Too by Langston Hughes. I too sing America. I am the darker brother. They send me to eat in the kitchen when company comes. But I laugh and eat well and grow strong. Tomorrow, I'll be at the table when company comes. Nobody will dare say to me, eat in the kitchen then. Besides, they'll see how beautiful I am and be ashamed. I too am America.
Thank you for joining us for Recite Night this December. Join us for more poetry recitations of both published and original student poetry at NEHS's 2020-2021 Poetry Slam this spring. Thank you so much for joining us for this night of poetry and prose, and we hope to see you guys soon. Also, if you are an NEHS member looking for your hours, check in the comments to look for the Google form. Have a great night, everyone, and we hope you enjoyed this as much as we did.